Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Stalktober special event of the Heart of the Jakuls. I'm your informative host, Lothran, and there's ever so much toil to get under control, so let's get right into it. Hurry up and snatch your favorite snack. Secure your favorite spot. Settle in warm and cozy and listen as carefully as you can to Flesh to Song. Athun dug his nails into the dark gray and black sand. Frigid water poured over him. He started and spluttered with the washing waves, dashing up to his feet and then falling back to his knees, shivering against the inhospitable biting winds whipping all about him. There was no green, no soft, gentle grass. Everything was golden and dead, almost some kind of brown, or speckled gray and black, or just black as the night sky, without the twinkling lights of iridescent stars to brighten the mind or guide the spirit. The thick wall of steel gray blue clouds raced across the heavens, but there wasn't a single spare bolt of light to pierce their depths. Mist seemed to fall from above the water, while fog billowed up the soaked, icy sand, pushing Athun away from the crashing waves and further in to shore. He kept jogging as he tried to wipe away the bitter salts clinging to his lithe, haggard, raw, unattired body. Athun glimpsed something jutting from the sands, the bland brown shape calling out to him, and being the only distinguishing feature peeking out from the rolling fog. He ran to it, feeling the hateful chill cut into his muscles a little more with each passing step. It turned out to be some metal rectangular container, rusted over top to bottom from years of ocean salt and weather. But one of its doors had fallen away, and any shelter was better than no shelter at all. Athun searched the tilting walls to find whatever he could to use for his own survival. Athun managed to partially dry himself off with an already damp and musty, deteriorated cloth rag, and then he found a torn bit of bright blue tarp and some string. So he covered his head, having grown up in cold climates, knowing most of his heat, once dry, would come off of his skull, and all he really had was enough for a hood tied around his neck, and a tiny bit more hanging a few centimeters or so off his back and shoulders. The containers seemed to radiate the chill, and having little else of worth within it, Athun went back out onto the beach. The fog had cleared slightly, but the mist was still clinging to the sky. He spotted another rectangular, unnatural shape off in the distance, and running across the drizzling sands, Athun knew he needed to find some way to gain warming shelter, or produce blazing fire, or he'd be well and truly done for all too soon. He heard the calls of birds up ahead, just beyond this metal box. As ancient and worn as the first, a marsh stretched out for several miles, the heavens eventually clearing out in the distance, casting delicate rays of sunshine upon the land. Maybe frightened, maybe hesitant, the light retreated when it had come, but Athun felt a burst of hope flow through his chest all the same. He had to pry this door open with a rock. It took some brute force, some smashing with the steel pole he found, and a good amount of swearing, but the young fit man got the door open and swung mostly shut again in his wake. By the light of Arlo, he brimmed with a smile as wide as his face could ever bear to stand from him. Athun bent to the piles of thick canvas cloth, sails to be exact, meant to weather harsh conditions of the mighty seas, more than well enough to make clothes, shelter, and a pack to transport belongings. What a find! What other treasures do you hold, I wonder? Athun asked to himself as he searched the rest of the metal box. Not too much more, actually. Just some cloth and a lot of rope. rope that had to be unwound for him to be able to cut, fashion, and tie with his hands. It was meant for heavy deck work on a ship. So he took some time basking upon, under, and within many layers of sailcloth, while unwinding the ropes between his fingers. He fell asleep from exhaustion, but was relatively warm and comfortable. Athun woke up, feeling mostly refreshed, but quite a bit hungry, his stomach rumbling in its annoying, empty state. He took a moment to peek outside, true to what he heard on the ceiling. The wind was whipping, stabbing shards of rain in every possible direction. He had to wait then. There was nothing he could do for right now. He used his time well, while feeling the rumbling of his stomach within him, a trait learned from his father. A warrior cannot afford to idly let the day or the battle slip from his fingers. He must act. Are you listening, Athun? The words hung upon him like a cloak, and the young agile man knew what he should do. He made a set of basic multi-layer folding canvas boots. They wouldn't last more than a week, but they'd keep the damp from his feet, unless he were to step into a half-meter of frigid water. He tied those to a quick skirt looped about his waist, as tight as it would go, and fashioned a hasty poncho with his tiny bit of tarp to remind him how much better he was off since he'd first awoken upon the beach. Athun went out to explore, finding a fair number of other metal rectangles. Most were sealed shut and solid, but a few had been opened up by weather and circumstances. Many of those were pretty much empty, but at least there were signs of animals here and there. He snatched some eggs from a nest, making a quick pouch out of a portion of his cloak and some string. He huddled into another when some massive beast roared across the land, glad for the minimal protection of at least something blocking it from picking him out on the landscape. Athun stuck to the edge of the wide marsh. Even though plenty of containers rose up from the water, the risk of so much liquid wasn't worth what he might find in any of them. He needed flint or wood, sticks, dryness. He had steel and iron as much as he might ever require, but there would be no fire nor food for tonight, no cooked eggs without a way to make a flame. He must have a fire. Athun kept searching, spending a number of hours exploring the near beaches. He found some driftwood, tiny fragments here and there, but not enough to have any sort of blaze. Maybe just enough to cook the eggs if he paced out the coals and burned some of the cloth he obtained. That echoing, rumbling, ear-rattling howl rolled over the land again. Athun glimpsed the beast, just for a moment, tall as any house, moving like the wind itself, racing across the horizon. He stood there frozen, glad there wasn't anything in either end of him to loose upon the earth, filth or bile. He desperately wanted to be rid of something from deep inside his gut after seeing such a thing move so deadly fast. Athun managed the smallest of fires after some effort, heating up his meal just enough to wonder if he'd even cooked it at all. The howls came near nightfall, dozens of such creatures echoing over the landscape, and for all of his might would be nothing against even one of them. He was afraid, shaken from several fitful slumbers in his canvas cocoon. There was little he could do save think about when they might come for him. He woke early, even before the false dawn, cold and tired. Any hint of warmth from the previous night's fire long since faded out. Athun gathered what he could, even keeping the few bits of charcoal from his camp. Moving out to search along the opposite direction on this day, another blastingly loud, riotous primordial howl cutting through his calm as he stepped out into the slowly brightening sky. Athun had no choice. He had to survive. And so it is. Our time together has once more come to its end. I hope you enjoyed what little we could share. I know I have. As always, I've been your pleased host, Lothran, and this was Flesh to Song, another tale straight from the heart of the Jakuls. So yet again, I guide you to Korvoth and his well-practiced method of leading you back the way you came.
Hello and good night to each and all. Please leave your comments, questions, and kindnesses down below. None of that awful mean or rude stuff, though. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to help us learn, spread, and grow. And we encourage each and every one of you to do everything in your power to stay safe out there. Goodbye, everybody. Good night and good luck. Goodbye, bye-bye.